Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. We have returned once more
We
from the
have.
void,
We
wherever we've
have.
been existing in the
We
last.
unhiatused, if that's a word.
We're back,
Dehiatus? We
dehydrated.
dehiatused.
We're dehydrated.
We've rehiatused. I don't know what we've done, but we're here.
Anyway, we're back, and we're going
Yes.
to talk about The Wrecking Crew from 2026. This is a film starring Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista in the leads, with lots of other people in the cast, which we'll talk about. Um, this is an odd film in some ways by how it came about. Do you know about this?
I do not know about this, Stephen. Please
Okay.
fill me in.
So I should say, my name's Steve. My co-host is Pete. For those
Hello.
who've never listened to any of us,
Steve's the one who's done research, and I'm the one who's winging it.
a little bit. So Jason Momoa worked with Dave Bautista on something in the past, and they stayed in touch. And then one
Right.
day they met up at an event or something, and Jason Momoa goes to him, "Oh yeah, I've got this idea for this film where you and I play like estranged brothers, and I want it to be like in Hawaii because that's where Momoa is from and stuff, and it's going to be about this, that, and the other, and blah blah." And Batista goes, "Oh yeah, that sounds quite good, yeah, yeah." Right. So then Batista either rang a friend or said to like a director friend or someone, so we're going to be doing this film soon, and blah blah, and maybe we'll get some sort of director. And they were like, "Oh right, right," and then people start ringing Jason Momoa, going, "So what's happening with this film then? What's going on?" So it started as an idea, and then somehow it became a film. He basically pitched it to Dave Bautista, and because Batista's like got they both got pull, it somehow coalesced
I
into a
want
real film.
I want that power. I just want to WhatsApp you ideas, and then the next day we're on a film set. That's how it needs to work. Come on.
It's just
Our road
mental,
movie
but
still hasn't happened.
But it was one of these things that still went, "Oh yeah, that sounds good. 2 stars already want to do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah." No offense to
That
the
it's
director,
interesting.
he's not a big name. The writer's done a lot. We'll come on to, but the director feels like very much like
Yeah, yeah.
a jobber that they got in. But the script is what was sold it,
But
and the two main stars have already said, "Yeah, we'll do
yeah,
it."
but I think it's interesting because I saw the trailer and was like, "Oh, this looks like it could be fun," and I was a bit like the little snob in me went, "Oh, it's an Amazon Prime movie, and I'll watch it in my home. I won't be going to the cinema for this one."
No,
But then I remembered, like, growing up, I didn't see anything in the cinema. I
nope.
lived like 25 miles away from the nearest cinema. My mum didn't drive. My dad was always at work. I'd go around my nan's. She was over 18, as most nans are. And we'd get out Predator and Die Hard and
Oh,
whatever. As the majority
video
of the films I
rentals.
absolutely love, I never saw on the big screen, or I've seen them now when they get re-released, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So actually, watching stuff on a T, and these days your TV's bigger than cinemas were. Cinema screens were when we were growing up.
yep.
Um, so, and then I've part of me was like, and it's good that you've explained that because I was a bit like, why is there no bigger star? And I don't mean that in a rude way because
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa has, Aquaman. Dave Bautista's done a lot of Prime movies, a lot, like two or three a year of
Wow.
varying levels of quality. But he's also been in Guardians of the Galaxy, Blade Runner 2049. But it was almost like there's no Chris and no Ryan in this film.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, usually it's like, oh, we're going to put a Pine or Pratt or Hemsworth or Evans. You're going to Chris in there, a Ryan Reynolds or a Ryan Gosling alongside one of these two. Yeah. I think the only exception to that is probably like Hobbs and Shaw with two big guys together. But it's The Rock and Jason Statham who've both got their own pull as leading men. So it almost felt like I was a bit like, oh, this I'm not sure about this because it feels like there's a star missing. Does that make any sense? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
I also
yeah.
think like if Jason Momoa had the same conversation with The Rock would have massively overshadowed the whole film, and it wouldn't have been as good. And that's what I really liked about this movie is it is a buddy movie
Mm-hmm.
in they're not buddy cops, or the one is a cop, but not in that
Yeah,
jurisdiction.
yeah,
Um, they are brothers, which I really liked.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it is a bit of an ensemble cast as well. There are other players around it, and they've cast it really well. And I think the fact it's in Hawaii makes it really different. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised without saying too much already, very early in the show. But pleasantly surprised,
Mm-hmm.
considering I did go think a bit like, oh, this needs someone a bigger name. I don't know why I think that because I think the two guys in it were really good, and I like them both anyway. So
Yeah. So there goes. He literally texted me about 4 days going, "We need to do a buddy cop film." They're both fans of the 80s films. He said, "Let's do it in Hawaii. I've got an idea." And now we're doing it. And then it basically kind of like manifested. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. So the director, as I mentioned, is Angel Manuel Soto, who's done the odd film
yes,
here and there. He did Blue
But Blue
Beetle, but
Beetle, Blue Beetle is the biggest film that he's done, I
yeah,
think. And
but that was three
Chelsea,
years ago. It's it's been a
yeah.
while, and you think, well, what's he? He's probably not the star. The writer, I couldn't have told you who it was, but when you look at his credits, so Jonathan Tropper, and you think, has he done anything? And then you go back and realize he co-created Your Friends and Neighbors, the Apple TV show with um, John Hamm.
Yeah, I
He
only know that show because of the meme of
exactly, yeah.
John
I've
Hamm
never seen
dancing in
it.
a nightclub.
Warrior, he
That,
co-created that.
yeah.
He did C,
See,
which is also
which
Apple, and
is
therefore Jason Momoa. He wrote The Adam Project, which is the Ryan Reynolds film. He did
that had a Ryan in
Kodachrome.
it.
Yeah, he co-created Banshee, and then you start to realize,
Yeah,
okay, this guy's really good at doing action and comedy and drama stuff, and he's had a good run in the last, like, I'd say 10
yeah, yeah.
years from
No, he really
Banshee
has.
forward. So he's got to the point where if Momoa's had this idea and Momoa's gone to
It,
him, right, I've got Dave on board, the two of us want to do this, write us a script about this, and this guy goes, yeah, sure, and then they're able to sell
it's
it. And
interesting as well where you mentioned because obviously Jason Momoa was in, so
yep,
probably met the writer through that. But
yep,
then you go through the cast. There's quite a lot of people from Chief of War or Aquaman. There's people that have been in things with Momoa, and both Momoa and Bautista are exec producers on the film. So that what you said makes a lot of sense. It's like it's which is really cool actually to have it be led that way because so many stuff is the studio has a thing or they want to a certain demographic or the algorithm says that these kind of movies are what everyone wants. No, let's just make a cool buddy cop movie that isn't really cops in Hawaii, and that's good.
so
I want to mention
go
one
on.
more member of the crew. Sorry,
Yes.
because a few minutes in, I was like, these action sequences seem really good and really kind of modern, and I'm a bit surprised for this kind of movie. Who's the cinematographer? So I thought, oh, okay. So Matt Flannery is who I have actually met and worked with once. But he is Gareth Evans's main cinematographer. He did The
Right,
Raid. He did The Raid 2. He did Apostle, which I worked on. He did Havoc. He's done episodes of Westworld. He also co-created with Gareth Evans Gangs of London,
right,
uh,
okay.
which was their equivalence thing of like having a chat. I've always wanted to pitch this kind of show, and then that got made. And he's done a couple of other things without Gareth Evans as well. And then you go, okay, the fights in the corridor, the fights with the shot from above, the
Mm-hmm.
really, really close kind of knife work, the way people walk into scenes, and you go, yeah, there's some bits here that feel like the raid. And that it's like, ooh, 80s action,
Mm-hmm.
but with stuff like the raid. What an interesting way of putting a film together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. Um, so we'll talk about the setup, and then we'll talk about some of the other the cast. So there are strange brothers. Dave Bautista is a Navy officer who trains recruits in Hawaii, and
Teach them how to hold their breath.
he just hangs in the water,
Yeah.
like Zen, like some kind of Buddhist monk, and they have to use weights to keep them way down. That was an odd scene, but anyway, so that was fun. Whereas Jason Momoa he's your if you look at like the Lethal Weapon mold, he's the rogue cop who's not, who's a loose cannon and doesn't plays by his own rules, and somewhere in America, and hasn't seen his brother in years, hasn't spoken to his dad in years, and that's kind of something brings them back together. I don't want to spoil too much, but the dad dies. It's at the start of the film. The dad dies, and he's done something or he's involved in something, and that
It
makes
wasn't
Jason
through
Momoa.
natural causes. It wasn't through natural causes.
No,
And that
someone
makes
kills him.
Jason Momoa get into an awesome fight scene in his house.
Yes, yeah, that was quite amusing. I like the comedy straight away in that scene where the guy goes, you know what this is? And he got these yakuza with tattoos, and he goes, it's like a horse, right? And he's like, what? No, it's a dragon. And he's like, is it? It looks like a horse, but no, it's a dragon. And they take the piss out of his tattoos, and he's like, right, sure, if you say it's a dragon. So that,
A
but that
friend of
fight
mine
scene was good.
messaged me. A friend of mine messaged me after seeing the film and said, "This really reminds me of Lethal Weapon." And I think he has got that Riggs kind of.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are, how big you are, what you're going to do, bring it on.
he's literally peeing on them
There's
at one
definitely
point.
it's definitely a Shane Black esque kind of vibe going on here.
Yes, yeah. If they got Shane Black in to punch up the script, it would have been funnier and had a lot more kind of moments. But it was still good. It was still, I still enjoyed it. Yeah. So talk about some of the rest of the cast. So you've
Hmm.
got Tamura Morrison, who you've probably seen from, Star Wars all the way forward to Boba
Once
Fett.
were warriors back in the day, I remember as well.
Oof.
But yeah, and he was in Chief of War, and he was in Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. So he's worked with Momoa twice before.
Yeah.
Um,
Frankie Adams, one of my favorites, of course, from The Expanse as Bobby. I
yes,
don't know Ramita Fox, but she plays Jason.
but she's also in Chief of War
There
with
you
Jason
go.
Momoa.
Yeah, she plays Dave Bautista's wife.
Uh,
So Clace Bang,
Claes Bang, what a great name!
great
Sing it,
name.
Bangs, brother.
Very brand UK specific joke for that one.
Thank you.
Jacob Batalon, who looks much older now, and also he's bald from the
Yeah, he
Spider-Man
does.
films.
Ned from the Spider-Man films. Yeah, Claes Bang has been in The Northman, Girls in the Spider's Web, but I know him from a show called The Outlaws, BBC show with Steve Merchant and massive Hollywood star, like Christopher Walken.
Oh
He's in
wow.
that as the bad guy.
Okay. So
And
Jacob
of
Batalon
course,
was born in Hawaii, actually, in
okay, so all this.
1996. He's born in 1996.
Simi 39, 29, 29, 29.
29. Anyway, Morena Baccarin, who's been in everything a million times.
Deadpool, Firefly.
Yeah. And Stephen Root, who always plays grumpy old people as
He
the
makes
cop.
a good grumpy cop. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
really, really good. And there's lots of local people as well from Hawaii and stuff.
Hawaii.
And it was filmed on location because that's what they wanted. So,
Huh.
where next, Pete?
I don't know. Okay, what did you like the most about this film, Stephen?
Oh, well, Peter, I shall tell you. Um,
We're very rusty, as you can tell.
I
We just
think
talk, yeah? We just talk.
the relationship between the two characters was good. I liked that they didn't get on, and it wasn't like, oh, now we'll just be best friends after 5 minutes. And there was still disagreements with them. They had actual, genuine bad blood between the pair of them for legitimate reasons. And even after the point where it seemed like they were getting on, they got into a massive knockdown fight with each other that was really quite nasty in a couple of
It was
places.
very They Live. I like that fight a lot.
Yeah, it was proper. And also they got some classic kind of like wrestling old little nods in there. At one point, Dave Bautista literally picks him up and like power bombs him into the into the ground and stuff. I'm like, yeah, falling back on his training and stuff and all that kind of thing. Um, their relationship was my favorite. And the fact that they had a proper relationship that breathed with the other characters. It wasn't, they weren't just there to kind of stand around doing nothing. I'll come back to some issues I had with some of the other bits of the cast later, some things that I think still kind of annoy me. But generally, that was my favorite thing. What about you?
Similarly, really. Yeah, the relationship was a slightly slow burn, which was good.
Hmm.
Um, I do have a feeling there'll be sequels. But yeah, I think it's set up really well. Um, they were quite believable as brothers, and the reasons that they'd fallen out
Yes.
were did kind of make sense, and it made sense as to why it took so long for them to kind of put that together. I like that combination of kind of it's funny, but it's not an out and out action comedy, which again, could throw back to Lethal Weapon, Last Boy Scout. They're not comedy films, but there are
Mm.
some very funny moments, usually dark humor,
Yes.
but then there's also some quite poignant moments. And I think this had that nice light and shade. There were times I was laughing, and there were times when I was feeling for the characters and what they were going through and stuff like that, which considering some of the ridiculous over the top stuff that happens,
Yeah.
they trod that line, I think. They trod that line just, and I think that combination, like I said before, I think of that modern approach to the fight scenes, which stopped it feeling like a throwback or a parody, or even though it opens with Guns N' Roses, it doesn't feel like, remember the 80s, guys? Um, that combined with, again, modern set pieces, the kind of crazy car chases and helicopter stuff that are done in a slightly different way these days. I think it was that balance of old school storytelling and characterization with modern filmmaking,
Mm.
which I think you don't really get anywhere else. I think I really like the two most recent Bad Boys films, but I felt this was another notch up,
Yeah.
and mainly because of the way the fights were handled. Because I only wish Dave Bautista hadn't lost to so much of his if
Bulk.
he's a little bit bigger, well, she was still a bit bigger. That was my only kind of sorry, being positive. Look at me being all negative, Nelly.
He
Yes,
has slimmed down a lot. He has lost a lot of his bulk.
he has.
Like this, as someone sent a meme around the other day, and I couldn't help just weep slightly at it, where it said, "This is how people see Dave Bautista." And it showed them a picture from the Wrecking Crew with his grey beard, and he's quite slender, and he's still a fit man. And then there's a picture of him as the Beast from when he was in his wrestling era, and he's just this giant triangle with black hair. And I'm like, that's Dave Bautista, not Drax.
No,
That is Dave Bautista.
no,
That's my
that
head.
which made this the steroid pancakes joke fall slightly flat because I'm thinking, well,
No,
it's funny, but
yeah,
it's not.
he's not the one. Clearly not the one on it anymore.
He's the half the size of his brother.
He's half the size he used to be. A third
This is
even
true.
at this
This is
point.
true.
Yeah,
This is true.
yeah. So next thing I was going to say is, what do you think of the overall story? You've talked about how it picks up some of the best bits from like the '90s Lethal Weapon films, and it's got more modern things. But in terms of
Yep.
the overall story, how did you feel about it?
The only thing that some of it was a little bit contrived,
Yep.
and what I did find is that the two main characters didn't really drive the story. They did all the action, but they would find stuff,
Yeah.
and stuff would just be given to them. They just seemed to, which I guess, yeah, but I don't know if somehow they got away with it with charm, I think. But it was like, oh, this has happened. There's a clue here. There's a thing there. But they didn't really go looking for the stuff. It just, oh, just to let you know, this is what happened. Oh, okay, we better go and sort that out then. It just felt a little bit. I don't know. That was the only thing for me. It's like it's just a series of events to get a series of cool events, really. But it was more character based. The plot. But then I was also thinking back to things like Rapid Fire and like other direct to video, like late 80s, early 90s movies.
Mm.
It's kind of what a lot of them did. There's a tape. Whatever. If someone's got the tape, we've got to get that tape by the end of this film. Otherwise, the senator's gonna have you killed. And everyone goes, look, oh, I found the tape. Let's fight, 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 fight. Here's the
Like for the
tape.
MacGuffin.
And it felt a bit like that, to be
Mm.
honest. There were a few like running around offices looking for things, but you didn't really know why, or it didn't feel like it had that much real. But I think the story would have gone the same way with multiple changes. He didn't go, oh, this scene has led us to this point, it's led us to this point. You didn't go, oh, they've worked really well together to do this. It's just they're two big efficient guys and they're just twatting people and driving fast.
So
Is that fair?
I guess, yeah, to a degree. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about some other modern films that I've seen, like action ones. That was it Underground Six or something Six? It was a Michael Bay, Ryan Reynolds one that was all like in Europe with fast cars and
Six
shooting.
Underground.
That was it,
Six
right?
Underground, yeah.
That was one of the most ridiculous pieces of shit I've ever seen in my life. Looked fantastic, appalling. It was literally like boiled down version of Fast and Furious with none of the heart of the Fast and Furious. And it was just so tedious. And I kept thinking, right, it's not that bad. Is it Lethal Weapon? No, it's somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have the charm and the joy and the snappiness of Lethal Weapon and the family buildup of Lethal Weapon. There is some of that heart in here with Jay Batista's family and his kids and his wife.
Yeah.
I wish there'd been more of that because he is capable of doing that kind of acting. We know he can. I wish that relationship had been developed a bit more. I'd like to have seen his relationship with Frankie Adams' character expanded on a bit more, but also Jason Momoa, because he has his girlfriend, but she's not there until later on. His connection is Frankie Adams, who's his cousin, I want to say.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. I don't know if it is his cousin and the police chief's his uncle, or if it's just a cultural thing of cousin
Right.
is
But
what you call people that are close to your family. But they do
yeah.
say we're blood at one point as well.
So she's basically a friend of family. She's not a romantic interest, but I think you get the feeling that she's known him since he was a kid and before he
yeah,
left Hawaii.
yeah,
So
yeah,
she's a friend of family, and it's not a romantic love thing. But I wish they'd strengthen some of that. There's little moments where she would say something and then leave the room, knowing that she'd put her and the two brothers together to try and sort it out, and the wife would leave the room. So they had the kind of little shortcuts that showed they knew how to manipulate them to get to try and talk to each other. And that didn't work in some ways because they're both so stubborn and loggerheads with each other. So that was quite good. I like that. But I wish there'd been a little bit more of that and less of the, like you say, race to get to the next fight scene, which was good. The action was fantastic. It was well shot. It was well coordinated. But but I wanted more of that kind of stuff, and even more of the relationship with Tamora Morrison. So it felt like more of a betrayal, because to begin with, it was like, oh, whoa, who's he? Oh, that's quite he's helping out. That's nice. And then it's just him, and you go, all right, I wasn't that invested in him, as like he turns
Yeah.
out to be the villain. I was like, well, okay, but I don't care as much as I should have. See what I mean?
Did you see the Ben Affleck interview? I haven't seen the film. Is it The Rip or Rip that's
I've seen
on
the
Netflix,
interview
which is
with
a
him and
Matt, yeah,
Damon.
so it's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and they basically sort of said that streamers, well, Netflix in this example, so this is on Prime, have said you need a big action sequence set up at the start, like a Bond movie, straight into action, um, and people are going to be watching this while doing something else on their phone. So
Yep,
you need to make sure you give them plenty of exposition and keep telling them the plot. Now, this brings me and probably you out in hives. Um,
yep.
the idea of like you need to build up first 10 minutes, set the scene. You don't have to start with action. You can actually earn that with character. Also, put your phone down, you millennial dicks. Um,
Gen Z, Gen Z dicks
Gen Z, sorry.
and millennials.
Uh,
To be fair,
all everyone and
everyone
me
put the
actually. In
phone down.
fairness, I'm just as bad as everyone else, to be honest. Although I didn't for this, and that maybe that's to me the sign of a good film is I don't pick my phone up.
You
So
not be
don't lean
like, oh,
into
let's
it.
have a
But let's make a
look.
film that it's okay to be the second screen. Cinema should never be the second screen,
No,
or it should be the only screen.
they're now
Here
got
I'm a
those
glass.
cinemas that I always wanted, where you get a little pocket thing with the and it locks when you take your phone in and with your phone now. And if you want to use your phone,
That's
when you step out the cinema, it unlocks. And I'm like, that I want that in every single cinema across the UK
that is a good
and the
idea. That
world.
is a good idea.
To be fair,
Yes.
but anyway,
Um, but anyway, so I don't know if this is a symptom of that. It's maybe there is a story there that could have had more room to breathe, but they just wanted to get to the next bit to stop people being bored. But then
mm,
but there is a charm there. There was a charm in their relationship. I did like the family dynamic as well. Like you say,
yeah,
they could have done a bit more with it. Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they could have gone with a slightly more old-fashioned pacing, but maybe that just isn't what people want anymore, Stephen.
maybe. I, I, I think this has done fairly well. We never completely know because Amazon don't tell you, and it doesn't have the same kind of box office figures as, like it used to do in the old days. They have set up various
Yeah.
things that they could do more, and I think if it gets a good enough reception, like Roadhouse did of all things, the new one, that they're doing a second one of that. So I guess it's one of these things where in a few months, if it's done well, Amazon will tell us, and they'll announce
Yeah.
plans for a second
That's
in
cool.
theory, if and when it happens.
Yeah, and it feels, I don't know. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. I think it's head and shoulders above other Prime movies that I've watched of a
Mm,
similar type. There've
yeah,
been some that have been quite good. This just felt, ironically, a lot more cinematic um, as a home movie, and just felt like a bigger film. And I say I really liked the things it did that were different.
yeah,
Kind of stood out for me. Um, but I think but I was waiting for it to fail, and it didn't
right.
quite. I was saying, oh well, they need a bigger star. They need a bigger star right somewhere. Well, this setup's really good. Well, I like this scene underwater. It reminds me of the start of Point Break. That's cool. Well, the dad getting run over. That's like old Hong Kong films. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Oh, I like the way they've introduced Jason. Oh, there's a really good fight scene. That's really. Oh, it's shot really well. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, but when they meet up, it's going to be rubbish, and it's going to be rubbish. Oh, they've met up. I like their relationship. Oh, they're having a fight with each other. Oh, this is good. Oh, the wife's going to play. So all the way, and I was like, right, okay, it's going to get at some point. It's going to get to like the start of the third act, and it's going to fizzle out, or something
Mhm.
ridiculous is going to happen. It's going to jump the shark, or some random thing's going to happen that's going to really irritate me. The
Yeah.
closest it came, I think, was the driving scene with the helicopter, which was very over the top.
Yes.
Um, but I think they just she's turned up on the island and she can drive. We'd seen her wheel spin a car earlier, so that was our little bit of foreshadowing.
That was it.
Um, yeah, but I was like, oh no, at some point it's gonna deflate, it's gonna deflate, and I just kind of went. My wife was very annoyed watching it with me because of that. I was like, on the edge of my seat. I love this. 10 minutes later, I love this. Yeah,
She's
I
like,
really love
shut up and
this.
sit
And
back,
she, and
Pete.
she's like, I take it you like the film. I said, yeah, but I love it. I'm kind of like, but for me, I just had that feeling of being like 14, going to the local video shop,
Hmm.
uh, and just going, "Oh, what's new out?
Yeah, yeah.
What's this? Oh, it's got Billy Blanks and Roddy Piper in it.
Let's give it a
They're
go.
big, big. Let's just watch it. I don't really know much about it. Let's just chuck it on."
Mm-hmm.
And then go, "Oh, I think if I was a teenager, I'd be like, this is the best film ever made. This is the best film ever made. Let's go. I
Interesting
need
though, like
someone to fight in the car park with."
I think I try and think of any modern action films that, like, in 30 years' time, we'll be talking about them. There's the same way people talk about Predator and, Commando, even, and all these ones. And the closest I've sort of come to recently, I was thinking like John Wick. People will talk about the first John
Yeah.
Wick for all of
Yes, I
it's a
agree.
very simple story and blah blah and I still think people will talk about John Wick a lot because it's so good and it led the way for so many other things.
Totally agree.
The Matrix, but that's now 26 years old, 27 years old, but that's not modern. I'm trying to think modern action films. What do people love? Bad Boys, there again, that's the 90s. Are they going to talk
That's
about the
still nice.
modern
It's just
ones in the same way as the
no.
last 15
I think I
years?
like them, but I like them with a nostalgia thing. I guess we neither of us are Fast and Furious fans, but I guess that's the biggest action franchise probably ever.
Probably.
Mission Impossible, but that's been going since the 90s. And to me, that fizzled out really badly. The last two films I didn't think were very good, but that's a
Mm.
conversation for another
So
show.
it has
But I think
changed.
superhero movies, I think we've said it before, have filled the space
Yeah,
where action movies used to sit,
yeah.
for better or for worse, because I like both. But I think there's room for both. This, I don't think we'll be talking about this film for 30 years,
No.
but it gave me is that feeling, literally, the Friday grab a movie,
Mm.
just it was a movie. It wasn't. I quite often like to watch films, but every now and then I watch a movie. But quite often a movie can be quite shit. But I thought this was good. I'd like it, but again, in a I can't explain why, but it worked for me. It worked really well. I was invested. I I I have a feeling I'm going to give it quite a lot higher score than maybe you are, or at least maybe higher than you are. But I
Maybe.
no, I even for its flaws, I was just like, but I love this. I love this. What is there not to love about two big men hitting people? I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Well, okay. We don't like to be negative, but what didn't you like about the film? We won't stay on this for too long.
Okay. I think the main thing was that kind of they weren't really doing any, they weren't working anything out for themselves. It was quite spoon. The two main characters were kind of spoon fed
Mm.
the things that went on. There were a couple of action scenes that are just a bit silly. It's like in anything, these things. Suddenly everyone's shooting each other in the street and firing bazookas and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh well, it's Thursday." This is like whenever like some action movies, if the stakes get raised so high so quickly, but nothing really changes around it.
Yeah.
I thought the indigenous people and the whole side of like, oh, it's all about developing this. It was really nice to see that, but they didn't do anything with it. That
No.
could have been a much bigger part of the story and a
Yep.
much more bigger part of their kind of bonding as brothers because they did touch on it a little bit. It's like this land is our land and that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and there was just it was nice to find out why they'd fallen out and stuff, but it was quite often by one telling the other. Remember why we fell out? Yes, this is why we fell out. Yes, it is why we fell out. And that was a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
Dave Bautista and Dave Momoa, Jason Momoa.
To
I
Dave.
actually thought
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is in the trailer. I was a bit like, oh, he seems a bit wooden, a bit like he's reading his script. But then in the film itself, I actually thought his character was quite well done. I thought
Mm.
actually there was more to it, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's not much I didn't like, to be honest. Would you like to get your list out?
Yes. Hang on. Let me just unfurl it.
Go
um, all the things that you mentioned, but the biggest thing that kind of on top of that is all of the women in the film have terrible kind of like screen time in terms of they're given so little to do. Marina Baccarin at the very beginning, she said, "Does the wheel spin?" Breaks up with him and leaves, and I was like, "Is that it?" She got like her one scene,
Yeah,
that's one day
I
of work, right? And then she's crowbarred back in, and she comes back.
I
Now,
know. I said to Lou, I said, oh, she's too big a name for this to be it. And I'm pretty sure she drives a car in the trailer on
so
a
I,
bridge.
I
So she'll be
thought,
back. But it didn't make
I wonder if she will be back. But then equally, I look at other films, and she's been in all three Deadpool films, and she's had
yeah.
she's the girlfriend, the wife, and she has so little to do. And they say actors do one for themselves and one for the money. I feel like she'd been offered this film, and she's gone, Yeah, how much is it? Yeah, sure. And
I
this goes
mean,
back to doing a
I
TV show where she's the lead as the sheriff in
yeah.
this TV show. You know what I mean?
I mean, I remember though when Hawaii Five O was at its peak, the reboot series, which
Yeah,
we all liked at the start and then didn't like near the end.
yeah.
That I was reading articles about how did they get this start? How did they start? They're like, I got to spend 2 months in Hawaii. Like, so they were people were literally going, "I'll take the job because I'm going to Hawaii for a few months." And then there, do read about actors that go, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Helen Mirren or somebody really big name? When I base it on where I'd like to spend a couple of weeks, and I just do the films based on the location they're shooting on.
Wow.
So maybe she just wanted to
But
to
like,
Hawaii for a bit.
Frankie Adams, she's fantastic. We know she could do a lot. Didn't she was a hostage victim. She was kidnapped, the wife kidnapped. It was very much it was a throwback in some ways to like the women had very little agency and were just there to be kind of props to move the forward. She did have the driving scene, Marina Baccarin as the character. Like if her job had been she was a Formula One racing, as opposed to, hey, I have a driving license, essentially. And you're
She's a
like,
lawyer. Was she a lawyer? She was
yeah,
a
but like,
lawyer.
so she's just really good as a hobby
I mean,
to give her more to do in the
as a
film.
lawyer, I do think some of the things they got up to would have got a disbarred as a
Quite
lawyer.
possibly,
I'm not
yeah, yeah.
sure that you
So
should be
that was my
blowing
one
up
of my gripe. It
helicopters.
wasn't quite as bad as the '90s, where we've said they just have good gratuitous titty shot and a woman turns up and then
It's
that's it.
true.
The rest of the film. So there was none of that to that level, but they had very little to do. But also all of the things that you mentioned. Sometimes the plot was just a bit contrived. Sometimes it felt like they were just pushing to get to the next action scene. Um, but I did enjoy it. I know I'm griping. We're seeing negatives about it, but I did enjoy it. I just think I wish they could have moved it on or got like a Shane Black type writer in to punch it up a bit and make it really witty. Because some of the jokes worked and some of them didn't. A couple of times they were mumbling so much. I'm like, what did he say? And it had gone. And I didn't. It wasn't plot critical, but it was kind of nice to have known what it said. And I'm not going rewinding and putting subtitles on because then it doesn't feel like I'm watching a film. It feels like I'm, you know, just getting my phone out kind of thing. I was trying to just watch the film as it happened unfolded in real time. Um, yeah, that was my issues with it. Okay.
Good. Let's go and fight in the car park.
Okay. Would you like to see a sequel to this, Pete?
Yeah, I would. I would very much like to see a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the flaws that we've mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
I now feel like a bad person for not noticing the um, poor role of the female characters. Um,
No.
but yeah, no, I think it just again, it was just that throwback feeling. It was just I want to feel like that again. So if they can do it again. It's tough because I think the challenge you've always got with a buddy cop slash they don't get on, then they do get on. Is once they do get on, what do you do with that? And I think that although Shane Black wasn't really involved after the second, I don't think, or even after the first, possibly Lethal Weapon, they managed to make that dynamic still work. That they did get on and actually got on really, really well to the point they were almost like
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
and it flipped that. Whereas other films have tried to make that needle continue for a sequel. It's like, well, they why would that happen just for the
Mm-hmm.
audience? So be interested to see what they do. Um, I'm glad they didn't overuse. I was going to call him Ned. He's not called Ned in this. He's called
Pika.
Peck. Pika. Um, I'm glad they didn't like completely Joe Pesci him. It felt like, oh my god, oh, he's the Joe. Because you're like, okay, this one is Riggs, this one is Murtaugh, this person is
The comedy
the Joe
sidekick.
Pesci character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but
The
he
butt of all
didn't
the jokes
quite.
and and made his nose and all that stuff.
They
They
didn't
did the nose
quite lean
thing,
in. Yeah, they
but they
did do the
did Joe
nose thing.
Pesci thing. Yeah.
They didn't lean into it to the extent.
Yeah.
And I think I
Oh,
think Joe Pesci's character kind of
villain in
made
this.
yes,
I mean,
yeah, he was a bit pantomime. He was a bit.
he was like, I'm like, wait, there's got to be someone behind him. Like they're the actual. And like, oh no, 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 it really is him. And his fight scene with Jason Momoa, I'm like, yeah, the stunt double doesn't even look anywhere like him at all.
He's about a foot taller.
He's got a bad long wig on. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, come
it's a
on.
throwback, man. It's a
In
throwback.
terms of casting, that was the one thing where I wanted someone like,
Yeah,
to be big and scary who could actually fight Jason Momoa and be convincing as opposed to, really? It's the flip of Charlie's Angel modern film, we've got an 80-pound woman throwing around a 250-pound stuntman very kindly. It felt like that. Jason was like, yeah, and this guy's just pushing him around. I'm like, no, not buying it
Yeah,
wholly, but let's
it
go
was
with
a
it. Let's
bit.
go with it.
It was chewing the scenery a bit.
And he's English, of
Yeah.
course, so he had to be, an English
Although I
villain.
think the actor is Scandinavian, I think.
What, Claes Bang? Klaus Bang? Let's have a look.
Klaus
Klaus
Bang, I
Bang.
believe.
He is. Ooh, I'm just
Finnish,
having a look.
Norwegian,
He's from
Swedish,
Denmark. Danish
Danish.
actor and musician.
Yes.
Klaus Kasper Bang. Klaus Kasper Bang. Danish National School. There you go. Theatre school.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it was good. It was good. I did like it. Do you want to do some scores? Are we ready?
Yeah. Go on then. Go on then.
Am I going
Yeah,
first?
I think so.
There's going to be a difference in our scores, like usual.
I don't mind. Yeah,
So,
you go first.
Okay. So the rules for those who are new, because we haven't done this in so long, is it's 1 to 5, 5 being max number of bags, and no half bags, which makes it tough. But you know what a 5 is. It's absolutely best of the best of the best. A 2 is still a good film. It's not awful, and a 4 is pretty superlative. For me, I've thought about this a fair bit because we were talking about doing this for like 2 weeks. This is the 3-bag film for me. There's things I'd like to have seen that I think they could improve on. I think the action was good. I think the characterization in places was good between the two main leads. I think their relationship worked and was effective. I think it could have been developed more. The plot needed work, like you said, in terms of less convenience and more than chase the MacGuffin. There was actually something else. Like the ex-wife gets killed and just thrown off a building, and you're like, oh right, and he's responsible, and he just charges into the house, gets tased, and put in jail. I'm like, hang on, you're a cop. I know you're a loose cannon and a rogue, but you're not stupid. And you only met this woman for 5 minutes. So why did you go all like insane on it? She was hot, but even so, you're Jason Momoa. You have lots of hot people come up to you all the time.
Undone all that wonderful feminist work you did earlier.
You know what I mean? He's yeah, I probably have. But it's just it was good. I wished it had been better. There's things that I wanted them to have done for a modern film. I don't think they quite got there. Maybe they'll do it in a sequel. Maybe this is just not their, not what they were trying to do. So I'm giving it 3 out of 5.
Okay, that seems fair.
What about you, Pete?
Well, I love it. I love it. I kept saying I love it all the way through.
I love it.
I think is worth
I love it.
Yeah, can't hear what they're saying. Why? Because you keep saying I love it. Okay. I was going to say maybe that's why you couldn't hear a lot of it, but we were in different houses in different parts of the country. So,
but we live in the same house, Pete. What are you on about?
Yeah.
Go on.
It's just
Carry on.
There we go. That didn't work. Yeah, I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was good to not have a Chris or a Ryan in it. I think that was a benefit. I like the fact it was set in Hawaii. Now that you've told me, I like how it came about. I thought it was well directed, well performed. The cinematography, particularly for me, I thought, say, the way that they shot the fight sequences, I think made it refreshing and elevated it quite a lot. Yes, it wasn't perfect. And I'm probably doing this with a little bit of they don't make them like they used to, but maybe they do. Maybe they do make him like they used to.
Nostalgia hat.
So I think I'm gonna base it on just how it made me feel. I'm not gonna overanalyze it. I'm not gonna put my inner critic or inner filmmaker too much to the fore. I'm just gonna think of a guy sat on a sofa, possibly eating popcorn, possibly drinking a soft drink,
cold beverage of some choice.
Beverage of some sort that just wanted a movie that made that escapism that took them somewhere else and had people fighting in it. And it gave me that. So I'm going to give it a very solid 4 bags of action for me. It's not a 5, it's not a classic by any means, but I think now if this came out in 1989, it would probably lose 1 or 2 bags because it would be surrounded by other things. But then I think there are things films we hold up. Like we went back and watched Tango and Cash, and I remember thinking, this isn't actually very good.
It wasn't as good as we remembered.
It's actually not that good.
Yeah.
And I didn't. but this was good. I thought this was good. I want them to make more. If they're watching, um, then I think they should do as we say, and they should make at least two more of these.
Well,
Um,
if Amazon like it and it makes them money, they will do another one. You can be sure of
this is
that.
true. This
This
is
is
true.
this is you know
I'm going to
it's
press play on it and leave it on a loop for 2 weeks to help with the algorithm.
sounds good. Yeah, let's
That's
all
my
do
plan.
that, and we get more of them.
Uh, yeah, and
Okay.
maybe if they do a sequel, they can invite us to Hawaii to interview the cast and
Mm-hmm.
be part of it. Be part of it. I think it's about time.
We can both get a tan and be extras.
Yep, I think
You know,
this
you
is
could be Pika's older, larger brother.
is that you just said that because I'm bald, Stephen.
No,
This
that's
is a
not what
choice.
I'm saying at
This is
all,
a
please.
choice. This is a choice. This is self-shaved. This is a choice. Admittedly, nature was heading that way, and I just got in ahead of it. But it was a choice. For anyone who knew the show a long time ago, actually, we weren't on camera, but we did
Uh,
look quite different. We were
yes.
young. We had aspirations. We had
We
dreams.
had
We had a life.
dreams.
We had
Anyway, we've
plans.
strayed.
We had
We've
places
strayed.
to be.
Have you seen the Wrecking Crew? If so, what do you think? Post a comment somewhere. I don't know,
Yeah,
social media.
subscribe, ring
Even though we
bells,
don't
do
really do
what?
this anymore,
Not
like and
really.
subscribe
You can
somehow.
subscribe, and then every 2 years you'll be very surprised. And what the hell is this?
If you're listening to this
Uh,
on the Geek Syndicate podcast network,
we're very
thanks
sorry,
everyone.
Dave. We're very sorry, Barry.
Barry, but thanks for doing it. And
Yes.
make a comment on there on iTunes or
Yes.
Spotify. Leave a comment there about your favorite action film that we should cover. And in about 5 years, we'll get round to it probably.
Yeah.
But I
Maybe
think
we'll
that's
just become the Wrecking Crew podcast, and just every time they bring one out, we'll do another
we'll do one,
episode.
just one of them. That's
Um,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that
that's
works.
the plan.
It's
We
brilliant.
are like the Momoa and Bautista of the podcasting world.
Sure. I need to grow my hair out. So, Pete, wrap us up
Yes.
if you can remember
I
how.
cannot remember. Thank you for listening and or watching. If indeed you still are. Good night, bags of action. Boosh.